Hi, this is Dr. Todd Lee with mindandmuscle.com. I'm a medical doctor and IFBB North American lightweight bodybuilding champion. Now, before all that, I was a biochemist, and so I think that I'm pretty well suited to design a pre-workout. So today I'm going to talk about my new pre-workout, Wyked 2.1. Now, the old Wyked was by Taurus, and it was really good, but it got discontinued because Taurus went out of business. So I thought, why not take the old Wyked and make it stronger and good for both men and women, not just men. So that's where I got the idea for Wyked 2.1. It was so popular, in fact, I put a picture on Facebook of the last Wyked on Earth, and the wife of the buddy who gave it to me got in a fight with him and made him make me bring it back so she could have it. So I'm going to talk to you about, okay, what is a pre-workout? A pre-workout is something you take on an empty stomach before you work out to maximize the workout. Most pre-workouts are made with a few of the ingredients I'm going to talk about, but I have extra ingredients in there to get better effects. This one in particular is better in a no-carb state before you lift, and then you have your carbs introduced either in the middle of the workout or 30 minutes after your workout, depending if you're trying to grow muscle or if you're trying to burn fat primarily. That would be carb backloading is what that's called, when your carbs don't get introduced until after the first workout of the day. By workout, I mean lifting weights. I do not consider cardio in any capacity working out. I think it's just a waste of time. All right, so we got Wyked 2.1. That's the name of the product. Mindandmuscle.com, our business. It's intense pre-workout. Now the ingredients, caffeine. Every pre-workout has caffeine. That's the stimulant that makes you want to work out. It makes you, it's a painkiller. It makes you strong, makes you fast, makes you less likely to suffer oxidative damage. It's a great ingredient. Now, a lot of things are underdosed. It's really supposed to be like 5 milligrams per kilogram, if I'm not mistaken. So with this, I put in 150 milligrams per scoop. Normal pre-workouts are 1 to 3 scoops, never 4. So I geared this so that you get the maximum amount of each of the ingredients of 3 scoops. That's appropriate for a 200-pound bodybuilder. If you're a 150 or 120-pound woman, then there's probably about 100 pounds of lean body mass. Then you would use probably half that, so 1.5 scoops. So the next ingredient is creatine. Creatine's a pump product. It helps build muscle in a number of different ways, one of which is that it donates a phosphorus to ADP to make ATP, which is an energy fuel inside the muscles. So normally a weight that you can only handle for 5 reps, you can handle for 6 to 10 reps thanks to creatine. That 6 to 10 rep range puts you in the maximum muscle growth period or hypertrophic zone, because 30 to 60 second duration, time under tension for muscle, is what it takes in order to grow muscle. Also, it drags water with it into the cell, swells it. All right, I'm going to stick to the pump products, so I'm jumping around the label a little bit. All right, now arginine. Arginine has a nitric oxide molecule cleaved off of it, and that causes vasodilation inside the muscle tissue. So if you're lifting, this muscle swells because arginine is cleaved and a nitric oxide binds to the capillary smooth muscle, causes it to dilate. More blood gets to this tissue, carries the creatine to the muscle. Citrulline maleate gets back converted to arginine. So once the arginine supplies are depleted to make nitric oxide, the citrulline is converted into arginine, and that arginine then once again converts into nitric oxide. I put in agmatine sulfate because an agmatine sulfate builds up in your system over weeks. And what it does is it makes the nitric oxide synthase, the enzyme that cuts the nitric oxide off the arginine molecule, higher in the muscle cells, less in the brain, less in the heart, less in the immune system. So what that means is that if we squeeze the vessels here and open them over here in the muscle, then blood's going to flow to the muscle and not to the brain. So you don't get a headache the way some pre-workouts cause people to get. Also, it doesn't go to the intestines and stuff to cause some of the GI upset some of the pre-workouts cause. That's the pump matrix. It's 4 products that I used in conjunction to get the maximum effect. Now on to the fat burning matrix. All right, so I have in here kuzu root, which basically it binds to the pituitary, similar to GHRP6, and what it does is it causes the pituitary to release growth hormone. Now, it's not like injecting growth hormone. It's got no negative side effects. It doesn't cause intestines to grow or spleen to grow or any of that heart to grow. It's not going to make your face grow wide and creepy. It's just going to cause natural growth hormone to be released from what would normally occur. Normally, when you work out, natural growth hormone is released. This amplifies it, so you get about 3 to 4 times as much natural growth hormone. So what happens is you're going to preserve the muscle while you're training and burn more fat. Because if you are in a carb-free state, growth hormones release. If there's carbs present pre-workout, or if you introduce carbs in the middle of the workout, the growth hormone doesn't get released as much. So let's say instead of 2 units of growth hormone being released, you get 6 because of the KUZU. What that's going to do is it protects the muscle, so you're not burning muscle to work the muscle. So if I'm doing a ton of biceps, like 1,000 reps of biceps for a workout, it's not going to eat the bicep up, and then I have to repair it later and then make progress beyond that. What it does is it will burn fat from my body. And normally the body will take fat from anywhere except for my midsection because I'm a man. If I was a woman, it wouldn't take fat from back here, which is where they want to store it based on the hormones, testosterone, estrogen, and that's a much more complicated conversation. So I included yohimbine. So what it does is it targets the hard-to-reach fat. So in men, it's the visceral fat, the fat inside the abdomen, the love handles, and the fat around the navel. In women, it's the bottom of the butt, the outside of the thighs. So instead of burning your bicep while you're doing bicep curls, you're going to burn fat off your midsection while you're doing bicep curls, thanks to the combination effect of growth hormone and yohimbine. All that really does is knock fat into the bloodstream. It doesn't make it a preferred energy source for fuel. So I have L-carnitine added so that it uses the fat, drags it into the mitochondria, and the mitochondria uses it in the Krebs cycle to make ATP. We talked about ATP a little bit with creatine earlier. Bear with me. Taurine is like caffeine. It's what makes Red Bull, rather than just caffeine and water and carbonation, sugar. So it was introduced, I want to say like 2000, and that's what made the whole energy drink industry. It's just the amino acid taurine. So I included in this to just make Wyked just severely better than any energy drink on the market. There's no reason to drink an energy drink pre-workout. Just drink Wyked. The last relevant ingredients are betaine anhydrous. Betaine anhydrous causes the nucleus of the cell to upregulate IGF1 expression. That sounds fancy, but it really is. Whenever you get the muscle building pathway, whether it's androgens or whatever, it ultimately ends with a few inside the muscle mechanisms. There's the mTOR, there's also the IGF1, and there's satellite cells. And those 3 things are what really dictates whether the muscles grow or split. So creatine has been clinically proven to cause cell splitting, which most medical textbooks will tell you is completely impossible. They've proven it's true with creatine, as well as anabolic steroids, but there's no hormonal elements in this. What also is relevant is the IGF-1. IGF-1 causes the muscles to grow. It's an inside the muscle type molecule. It's not like if you inject IGF-1 in your bloodstream, it's going to do anything for your muscles. What this does is it causes each of the muscle cells to upregulate the receptor for IGF-1, so that if there's a certain amount of IGF-1 inside the cell, because there's more receptors for it, it binds quicker, you get more muscle growth. That's how betaine works. Now with the beta-alanine, on reps, remember we talked about ATP being used as a fuel source? When carbohydrates are used as a fuel source during glycolysis, you only get about 3 ATP per, or it's 2. It's 2 to 4 or 6 or something like that. Not very many. If you go through the Krebs cycle and use fat, you get 36 ATP. With the beta-alanine, what it does is it regenerates a byproduct of glycolysis called lactic acid. That's what makes the muscles burn while you're working out, and generates a pyruvate from it, which can then be phosphorylated to get the ATP regenerated, and you get the lactate again. So it gets you about 2 extra ATP per molecule of glucose. So you get about 50% more power in your rep range of 10 to 20. So if you would normally be able to get 10 reps, you might be able to get 12. If you normally be able to get 12 reps, you might be able to get 16 or 17. That's the theory behind beta-alanine. So when used with creatine, now we're talking, instead of getting 5 reps of weight, you might even get 12 reps with that weight. That's basically a brief and simple rundown of the ingredients of Wyked 2.1. If you want any questions answered, email me, drtoddlee@gmail.com. Thank you. This is Todd Lee M.D. with mymuscle.com.